Hello everyone and welcome to Nursing Science London 2025. To start with, I am very sorry that I can't be there with you in person. Over the last week or so, my health has really nosedived. I was keen to still present, so I'm doing this from a hospital room. But I really wanted to get my message across because I think it's a great opportunity and I'm really thankful to the organisers for the opportunity. So, basically I'll be talking about emotionally unstable personality disorder today. You can see on the slides that there are some stereotypical words like not genuinely ill, EUPD, PD behaviour, difficult patient, etc. I'll be going into more detail about this today. So, in terms of the first scenario, just picture in your head. So this conference is really for nurses. So let's imagine a young woman presents at A&E. She has self-harmed and she has a diagnosis of EUPD and she has history of quasi-psychosis, and she says the voices are telling her to hurt herself. What do you think this person needs? I'll let you think about that while I go through the presentation. So basically, who am I? My name is Nikki Mattox, or Nicola Mattox is my official name. I am a lived experience expert and researcher, and I do work in the mental health field about peer support, personality disorders and psychosis. The work I do includes working with various organisations such as King's College London, doing lecturing and advisory work on research, and I do various working with various organisations basically. I've been doing work like this for over 10 years, and this presentation will cover stigma, discrimination of people with EUPD from a lived experience perspective, so from my perspective, and the research that I recently did last year on self-stigma and EUPD. It will not cover medical stuff, if you like, because I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a nurse, although I did study mental health nursing at university for 2 years, so I have a great insight into the amazing work you do and the challenges of nursing. This presentation is relevant to you because it's thought that EUPD affects 1 in 100 people, and it's quite normal for people with this condition to present in crisis care, to have comorbidities of physical health, so it's just relevant to change the way things are going. Just as a content warning, I will talk about sensitive topics such as self-harm, suicidal thoughts, voices, abuse, neglect, and if this is too much for you, feel free to step out, it's okay. Just look after yourself. So to start with, I'm going to share a bit about my journey from a medical narrative. So growing up, I had an anomalous parenting situation. I went through various traumas and I had low mood. And when I was 14, a significant life event stressed me out and I started to have deliberate self-injury and suicidal ideation, and I was diagnosed with emerging emotionally unstable personality disorder. I had various involuntary and voluntary hospital admissions, and I was put on medication, and after a while I reached a period of remission, and I went to college and my activities of daily living really improved. However, I went to uni, as I mentioned, and studied nursing, and it was great, and I really respect the field of nursing. But then I entered a violent relationship. I became addicted to cannabis, and I was later diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. Since then, I've been technically a revolving door patient, and it's just been really tough. So that's a bit about my journey from a medical narrative. So my research paper on EUPD and self-stigma is all about, I see in the title really, it's about how the judgments of other people can be internalised and taken upon ourselves to believe about ourselves. So for me, it involves thinking that I don't deserve help, and it's something I fight with every single day. And I'll get into shortly why there is hope. Let me just check for time. 7 minutes, okay. My research paper basically revolves. I can send it to anyone that would like the copy. My email, I will make sure the organisers have, and you can reach out to them and ask for my email. That's okay. When I'm better, I'll be able to send you my research paper. And it's on my LinkedIn as well under Nikki Mattox at the start of this presentation. Nikki Mattox. So, yeah. Okay, so the key themes in my research paper is self-stigma. Self-explanatory, I guess, but it just involves it involves the way I see myself as a result of having this diagnosis, the language used by professionals having a big impact on my self-worth, my self-identity, how crisis care isn't equipped to support people with this condition, and how hospitals sometimes aren't helpful, but they are also, as I'm experiencing literally right now, they are sometimes needed. It also covers how there is a hierarchy of diagnosis. So when I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, I realised when I was enrolled for that condition, I was treated a lot better and with a lot more compassion. So self-stigma, the way that affects me is like I don't feel believed, which feeds into my trauma. My problems are not worth getting help for, and gaslighting, because I will tell professionals how I feel, and then the way it comes across in my notes is something completely different, and that really upsets me. And obviously in this day and age, in the UK, you can now view your medical notes on an app and on the NHS app, and us as patients, we see what you write about us, and it can hurt. So just be mindful when you're writing notes. That's something I experience quite heavily. So the way forward, I do believe the way forward is some sort of version of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In order to get better, we need housing, food, shelter, water, electricity, the basics. Without that, there's just no way of someone getting better, regardless of diagnosis or anything. Like, if someone's like living on the streets, for example, if they're not safe from their family, if they're going through abuse or neglect or trauma, they're not gonna find self-esteem. Attention seeking isn't a bad thing. It's really not. It's life-saving. You think about it, babies when they cry, that's attention seeking. They need it to survive. We are social creatures, we need attention to survive. And instead of looking at it as like they're attention seeking, actually look at it as they need support. They need support to regulate their nervous system, you know? It's hard when people judge you and say, oh, you're just attention seeking. So what if I am? It's how I'm surviving. Don't try to fix me. I am not broken. As I say, with attention seeking is not a bad thing. We're all human. We all have emotions. We're just basically complicated houseplants. We need food, water, sunlight, meds, and occasionally a hug. So as you can see here, I've got the good experiences and bad experiences with nurses. So the bad experiences, I've been told, what do you expect? You have capacity to kill yourself, and this is not unusual to me. This is common with people with this condition, especially in the UK. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in the UK, presenting in crisis care or community mental health team or any sort of service, you can sometimes get told you have capacity to kill yourself, which is basically, it feels to me like saying, well, go on then, and then there's nothing we can do for you. That I've been told that last week, which put me in such a hopeless place, which actually escalated me further. It doesn't help. And being told to just have a bath, I get that there's science behind it, but there is steps. You have to validate the emotion first, you have to regulate, and then you go to the stage of coping strategies rather than just jumping in there and using it in a dismissive way. So that leads on to the good experiences. I believe you. How you feel matters. You deserve support. Professionals say doing what they say they're going to do. And so to all the nurses at the conference and to the researchers, academics, whoever's there, again, I'm really sorry I couldn't be there with you today, but feel free to reach out. LinkedIn. You can make a difference. If you can't actually fix the situation, just be kind. And I know you are trying your best. Nursing is a very hard job. Looking after yourself is important. The more you look after yourself, the more you can look after others. You can't pour from an empty cup. And just remember that, especially patients with a personality disorder, they can get things from compassion, creativity and communication that they cannot get on a prescription. You can change the future of nursing. If you see stigma on personality disorders, interrupt it. You can make a difference, and you already do. That's why you're here. So just keep going. And now, my narrative from an empowered place, or it's a bunch of talk from a hospital room. When I was a child, I went through a lot of abuse and trauma. And when I realised that my parents were struggling themselves, I took that out on myself. I had beliefs around the world about not being the same as everyone else, and I struggled with that throughout my entire childhood. As a teenager, I went through further extreme situations, and I really struggled. I lost hope, and I tried to end my life, and I had to go to a place of safety, and it was really difficult. And then I got better. I got a really good support network who changed my life, I changed my perspective on life. And then after going to uni and meeting a guy that took away every inch of confidence that I had, my perspective changed again and I lost hope. And I'm still working really hard to regain that hope and self-esteem and confidence. But I'm not giving up. So yeah, that's my narrative from a more empowered perspective. And there is hope for me. I've recently completed an MBT course, mentalization-based therapy. That really helped. It really did help. Self-soothing, that's important to me. I've been doing that all night. I'm doing this so early in the morning, but yeah, all night I've been self-soothing, listening to music, doing art, journaling. Co-regulation is important. You don't need to fix it for me, but maybe the butterfly tapping or this tapping or the breathing with me. Sometimes when someone's escalated with this condition, because we feel big emotions bigly, just help us regulate. Language matters. The way you talk to us matters. Really choose your words carefully because words stick and they hurt. Trauma-informed care is essential because in my perspective and everything I've learned about this condition, it's not a personality disorder, it's a trauma disorder. I haven't actually met anyone with this condition that hasn't had a significant history of trauma. So it's important to remember that. And I can't talk on behalf of other people, but for me, there's a core part of me that's wounded. And when that's seen and validated, I feel better. One thing my psychiatrist said to me is that we all have parts, and for me, when I'm in this situation, it's important to remember that not all of me wants to die. It's a part of me, and there's also, at the same time, that coexist. There's a part of me that wants to live very much, and there's a part of me that cares about life. Curiosity is important. Asking questions: why am I feeling this way? Where did this come from? When did it start? What feeling is it? Compassion and self-compassion, really important, because I know with this condition people think they're worthless. I think I'm worthless. I don't see my value. So learning to be compassionate towards myself is very important. Peer support is essential, and I think a lot of the time people are misdiagnosed with a personality disorder when actually it's neurodivergence. So just if you do question whether someone has a personality disorder in your career, maybe screen for neurodivergence as well, like ADHD, autism, because it's so common. So leading on from the curiosity that I mentioned, these are 5 questions that I created with my therapist to ask myself when I'm in a crisis. So am I being unfair, too harsh on myself in the situation? Most of the time I am. Am I getting any signal that these are familiar thought patterns, body image thoughts, self-hatred thoughts? How am I feeling and how can I soothe that? If someone else told me they were feeling this way, what would I tell them? And if I took a pause and a step back, how would I want to manage this situation? And these are questions you can ask your patients as well. So, scenario version 2. So earlier I mentioned that someone presented to A&E or crisis situation with self-harm because they had quasi-psychosis. And so now looking at it from a different perspective, a young woman presents to A&E. She has just been through trauma. She is dysregulated. She is struggling. She's having experiences that she can't quite explain. And what do you think she needs? And I'm hoping that how you would approach this would change, and just maybe with curiosity and music, or just ultimately as much kindness and compassion as you can give. It really does make a difference. So now I've got a poem just to end up things. Not easy for you to see or believe, pain, a real strain on how I see myself. The judgment makes it harder, attention seeking, people seeking, to fix me, my behaviour, my reactions. Human response to abnormal treatment from my parents. Growing up was hard. Childhood, adolescence, and adulthood too. Patterns repeating. EUPD had me in chains from the day I was diagnosed to who I am today. I still see a terrified little girl. Little me, wish I could hold her, tell her I've got you now. But now I refuse to label myself the way that psychiatrist labelled me after 10 minutes. So easy to see me as crazy, when in fact I'm not lazy. I'm struggling, I'm human, I'm suffering, I'm human. I will be okay, I will be okay, I will be okay. Thank you for listening to a small part of my story. Semicolon, oh the semicolon. I choose every day for my story not to end the same way it started. I will be free from my demons, including the labels placed upon me. I'm sorry I'm not there to do the Q&A, but just know that recognise that being treated with respect and kindness and being empowered with choices and options are key in helping people recover from traumatic experiences. I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'm just going to say thank you so much for listening, and please do reach out. Let me know how you found this presentation. Sorry I've gone a bit under. If there's any feedback or a message of encouragement, I'd really appreciate it. My LinkedIn is NIKKI space MATTOCKS. Thank you.